it was hard sitting on the bench. I'm not going to lie. There were certainly some hard days, but, I think it taught myself how to be a really good leader and how to be a really good teammate and how to empathize for your teammates in certain situations. When you're in the heat of battle, your emotions are high and, you feel things differently. And I think when you're on the sidelines and you don't have your jersey on, you can observe and really watch people and learn about people.
After 3 months of silence, Caitlin Clark is finally breaking her silence, and she's not holding back. In her first interview since the devastating injury that cut her season short, Caitlin opens up about the moment it happened, the heartbreak of watching from the sidelines, and the emotional highs and lows of her recovery journey. From battling pain in private to staying mentally strong while fans speculated about her future, she's now ready to share her truth. And what she reveals about how it all unfolded might just surprise you. Let's send our best wishes for a full and speedy recovery to Caitlin in the comments below. We're all rooting for her.
What's the status of your health right now, and what specifically injury-wise between the ankle and the groin was it that prevented you from coming back this year?
Yeah, honestly, I've been working really hard to get back to full health, and I feel like probably over these last couple of weeks is when I've probably started feeling my best. Obviously, my ankle kind of didn't allow me to really see where my groin was at. It was, I think, my second full court workout back when we were in, I don't even know what month that would have been, but I just went to kind of make a move, and unfortunately my ankle completely rolled all the way forward, and probably one of the worst sprains I've dealt with.
Caitlin's season wasn't meant to end this way. She'd been pushing through a nagging groin injury, determined to fight her way back, when everything changed in an instant. During what should have been a routine workout, her ankle gave out, one of the worst sprains of her career. Just like that, her comeback took a devastating turn. What makes it even harder is the lack of closure. No final game, no defining moment, just uncertainty. Day after day, Caitlin showed up believing she'd make her return, only to face setback after setback. The mental toll of that grind, the frustration, the doubt, the exhaustion, is something most fans never get to see.
I've just tried to stay positive the best I can, and but I honestly feel like I'm in a really good spot, and people don't always realize, people that are kind of in the basketball world, or whether if you're in other sports too, when you're injured, it's honestly more work than when you're playing. So, I've spent so much time here in this building this season just trying to get healthy and trying to kind of just get back to 100%. And honestly, I think that, if I never was, I obviously played that game in Connecticut, and that's where I kind of felt some more pain in my right groin, and then obviously had some tests and other things done, and there was no decision of this is the end of my season. I had full intention of returning, and I think in a way that was probably positive for me, because that's how I approached everything.
Even through the pain, Caitlin refused to give in. She kept her head down, her faith steady, and her hope alive. What most people don't realize, she says, is that being injured can be even tougher than playing. The endless hours in the gym, the loneliness, the questions that never stop, it's a different kind of battle. Yet day after day, she showed up. No guarantees, no spotlight, just hard work and quiet resilience. That's the side of Caitlin's journey we rarely see, until now.
I came in here I was going to play, I was going to get back out on the court, and it probably would have been even more devastating and crushing knowing that I was never going to be able to put my uniform back on for the rest of the season. But you just approach it every single day you attack and get better, and it'll be the same for me going forward. That work doesn't stop, and I think I've had really good perspective on it all, and that's probably what I'm most proud of too.
There's a big difference between looking healthy and actually being ready to compete, and Caitlin explains that better than anyone. She breaks down how shooting spot-up jumpers or jogging through drills doesn't come close to the intensity of real game action. In live play, you're not thinking about how you plant your foot or cut to the basket. You just move. But after an injury, that instinctive movement becomes the hardest part. Your body has to relearn trust. Every step, every pivot, every hit. And that kind of confidence only comes back through real 5-on-5 battles and the chaos of full-speed play.
I think that's probably where people struggle to understand at times, is there is a huge difference than me standing there and shooting spot shots and running up and down. But in a basketball game, like, I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm planting here, oh, I'm cutting, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. Like, you're just doing it. So your muscles need to be able to react and withstand that type of stuff. So that's where the 5-on-5 becomes really critical. And then obviously the contact piece of it too. Like, you don't know where you're going to be taking contact from, but you know, my goal, it was the end of October to kind of be out there and trying to get back to playing 5-on.
That's why Caitlin's return to full speed action isn't just about hitting a timeline. It's about rebuilding trust. She's eyeing late October as her target to be back in full competitive form. But even then, the real test isn't purely physical. It's about confidence, trusting every cut, every sprint, every collision. Caitlin knows the road back won't be a straight line, but she's all in. This time, she's returning not just stronger, but smarter, tougher, and more prepared than ever.
I've been grinding as hard as I possibly can. And, you know, that's how it's always kind of just been for me. Like, I love the work. I love putting in the work. And, you know, that it's been difficult not being able to like see the time you put in, being able to put on your jersey and see it pay off. But I think, like I said, I think it's been a really good opportunity for me to learn a lot about myself and, you know, certain lessons that will probably be really important throughout my career.
For someone as fiercely competitive as Caitlin Clark, being stuck on the sidelines felt like pure torture. Yet, it turned into one of the most powerful learning experiences of her career. Stripped of the ability to impact the game with her play, she had to slow down and see things differently. The game, her teammates, even herself. She discovered how to lead with her voice instead of her scoring, how to listen more deeply, and how to stay present for her team, even when she couldn't step on the floor.
And almost take on the role of another set of coaching eyes with this group this season.
I mean, it's not what I envisioned by any means. But, you know, I've talked with a few people about this. I think, you know, when I get a few years down here in my career, like, I think this is a moment in a season I'll look back on and be like, this is why I am who I am today. And that's obviously probably pretty challenging to think in that way right now, but I truly believe that. And, you know, it was hard sitting on the bench. I'm not going to.
Caitlin admits it hasn't been easy. There were tough days, waves of frustration, and moments when all she wanted was to be back on the court battling alongside her teammates. But in that space, she discovered something deeper: empathy. She started to truly understand what her teammates were feeling, not just the physical grind, but the emotional weight that comes with it. And that kind of awareness, she says, is what separates good players from great leaders.
And, you know, I don't think it was so much for me like the basketball. I mean, like, obviously you learn about basketball. That's always how I've learned. I've been a basketball junkie. Like, you watch games, you watch the NBA, you watch college, you just have basketball on. That's the best way to improve your IQ. But also to learn about people and ask them questions and watch the way they operate. And for myself, getting to do that with my teammates, I think is probably the biggest lesson I learned. And just, you know, how can I show up every single day and, you know, pour into.
This stretch away from the court might not have given Caitlin the highlights or headlines she's used to, but it gave her something far more valuable: perspective. It reminded her what true leadership looks like: showing up for others when no one's watching, supporting her team when the spotlight's elsewhere, and understanding that greatness isn't measured only by stats. When she finally returns, that emotional growth, that deeper awareness, will make her even more dangerous.
And forward down the road, like, if I have a teammate that's injured or hurt or going through a tough moment, like, I know I will always show up for them and be there for them and check in on them, because it is an incredibly isolating thing. And you don't realize that until you go through it. And, you know, everybody says it, like, but you don't feel it unless you go through it. So I think all of that is probably what I learned most.
Throughout her rehab, one constant for Caitlin was Aaliyah Boston. Her face lights up when she talks about her, not just as a teammate, but as a true friend who showed up every single day with encouragement, empathy, and quiet leadership. Aaliyah was the steady presence that helped anchor the team when things felt uncertain, and Caitlin doesn't hide how much that meant during her darkest days of recovery. The bond between a point guard and her post runs deeper than X's and O's. It's built on trust, communication, and genuine care, the kind of connection that defines great teams.
I think it's obviously AB's tremendous. Like, we've always had a great relationship, and that's what exactly you need between your post and your point guard. And she's always been somebody that's been there to check in and pick me up. But I think that goes for our entire team, and I think that speaks for our entire season. I don't think it would be, I don't think we would have had the type of success that we had if it wasn't for the friendship or the empathy people showed one another, or the next man up mentality. Like, that was shown across the board in our locker.
But Aaliyah wasn't the only one who stepped up. Caitlin credits the entire locker room for embracing a true next woman up mentality. No matter who went down or who was called to step in, the culture never wavered. Show up for each other. That bond, that collective belief, is what kept the Fever competitive all season long, even as the injuries mounted. For Caitlin, it wasn't just comforting, it was deeply inspiring.